Hello, gorgeous. I just wanted to quickly say before we get into this video, what? How? What the fuck? Thank you so much. You guys are crazy. Like 500 subscribers? That is insane to me. Genuinely never thought I'd get here. Absolutely, positively bonkers. When I originally started this script, it was at 400 subscribers, and I had to change it to 500. What the fuck? You guys gotta chill. Kisses for all of you. Okay, I'll stop gushing. The other thing I'm really thankful for is all the great game recommendations. I found some really fantastic games that I probably would have never found otherwise, so thank you so much, and please keep them coming. Also, Warhammer 40k fans, I'm sorry. I know I got the lore wrong in the first video. I am sorry. I'm aware of my heresy, and I beg you of your forgiveness. And I know I said chimera wrong. My condolences. See, there, I said it right. You proud of me? It's not chimera, whatever I was saying. Chimera. I got it now. Thank you. Mwah. All right, now that I'm done groveling, let me talk about something else real quick. Here are all the games that I have gotten recommended to me, and I'm planning on playing all of them. Here are the ones I'm currently playing through, and as for the ones that are in this video, well, you'll just have to watch it now, won't ya? If you're a new viewer, feel free to go check out the first 2 videos in this series. They'll be linked in the description. They are by no means required viewing, but they do have some pretty damn good games that I truly recommend. Alright, now before we get started on our first game, I just want to say, if you don't like turn-based combat, you won't like any of these games, so go save your time and check something else out. Yes, I'm talking to you. Anyhow, let's get into this video, starting with Warhammer 40k Mechanicus. This is easily one of the most requested games you guys wanted me to play, and I have to say, you guys have some pretty damn good taste. Mechanicus is a delightfully grim setting, as with all Warhammer 40k material. It allows you control of... I can't get it wrong this time. I can't get it wrong. A group of Adeptus Mechanicus forces with a heavy focus on modding your tech priests into deadly beings of holy destruction. You slowly unlock new abilities as well as new body augmentations fashioned from the blessed metals of the Omnissiah. You will also come to unlock new units that make up your small team of 6, and will die for the cause without question. Mechanicus has a decent pace of progression, and the first 8 or so hours are really challenging and quite exciting. Here's how the core loop of Mechanicus goes. First, select a mission from one of the Magos Domini. I think that's correct. Please don't gut me if I am wrong, but if I am wrong, I would love to know because I'm struggling here, guys. Each mission will follow the perspective and goals of the respective quest giver, and will have varying rewards upon completion. Once you select your preferred unit, you will find yourself in an above view of the dungeon. You will then select a path to a room, complete a simple puzzle or a simple 50-50 guess that has one good outcome, one bad, which adds an interesting amount of variety to each mission, but can also be frustrating if you get a bunch wrong in a row. Not that I would know what that feels like. It's also important to keep in mind that the longer you spend exploring, the more deadly the final fight in the dungeon will be. It adds an excellent risk and reward feeling to going a longer route. Now let me just quickly spout, the writing and voice acting is so good. This is exactly what I thought the Adeptus Mechanicus would sound like. Not to mention the writing is done by Black Library author Ben Counter, who, from what I can see, has been writing for Warhammer 40k since 2002. That's 20 goddamn years. Let's just say this guy knows what he's doing. After you get to the end of the dungeon, you will end up fighting in a turn-based strategy space that each have different objectives, enemies, environmental hazards, or helps. Now, I do have some issues with Mechanicus, sadly. While the first 8 hours of progression is really fun, you eventually reach a point where you have unlocked the majority of the things that interest you, and you are genuinely so deadly it doesn't even matter anymore. The tight claustrophobic tenseness of the early levels is slowly lost to the game. I just genuinely don't think the enemies scale enough. XCOM did a good job of making you always feel like the underdog. Mechanicus strives for a different feeling, a feeling of climbing past that underdog feeling and into a vibe of absolute ass kicking. While I prefer the underdog feeling that XCOM 2 gives me, the feeling of purifying the Necron tombs is still really satisfying, and if that's a feeling you like, that probably isn't going to be a negative for you, and you'll almost certainly love this game more than I did, especially if you love Warhammer 40k. Now, let's talk about a CRPG. One that originally inspired one of the most beloved franchises ever created, Wasteland 3, baby. Wasteland 1 and 2 were games I never really played, but I might go and play them after experiencing Wasteland 3 because god damn it, I love it. Wasteland 3 is intensely immersive, and every decision you make can have devastating consequences down the road. The writing is superb, the art design is gorgeous, and the overall vibe of the game is ridiculous yet grounded. I mean, there's an entire stat tree revolving around fixing toasters, not to fucking mention a cult around Ronald Reagan. Have I mentioned this game is fantastic? The gameplay when it comes to combat is typical XCOM 2 formula, even up to having an ability point system. Now, the game's open world is much smaller than your typical game these days. Instead, it is contained to the state of Colorado. This allowed the devs to focus on making everything in this smaller, yet grantedly still rather large area as well made and packed with important decisions and fun Easter eggs as possible. The variety of loot and abilities is vast, allowing for all kinds of synergies and tactical plans. But while there is a large amount of customization when it comes to your gear, your character is less customizable. You get 2 preset characters, or you can make your own. If you opt to make your own characters, you will find that the character creator is rather lackluster. Going for the many preset faces and hairs and the like over a more robust character customizer. While you won't see your character up close that often, I still know, and I still feel it. But in all seriousness, it does take a little bit away from the immersiveness of the world. I ended up building my badass rogue sniper Sharky and her brother Marshall, a down-to-earth charismatic motherfucker who always knew what to say. The sad thing though is the farther into the game you get, the less important carefully building your character's class is. If you've been slightly trying to cover all your bases through your companion or main character level ups, you'll find yourself not really ever failing at anything, which is a shame. I myself am a DM, as well as a massive nerd, so not having some flaws was a damn shame and kind of felt a little immersion breaking at times. Despite those slight shortcomings though, you will find yourself in a delightful romp through the Wastelands, a great story and some excellent and engaging combat, even if it does feel a little bit unfair at times. But if you persevere, I've found every challenge in the game to be beatable, even if it means running the fuck away. That's still a victory in my book because we did not die. Also, I played with both of the games' DLC, Cult of the Holy Detonation and Steel Town. Holy Detonation was pretty mediocre and frustrating in my opinion, but I really loved Steel Town. Steel Town requires you to make this incredibly well-written moral decision that will heavily affect the faction, and I just found it incredibly well-written. It is a little grindy, but besides that, fantastic writing, great new characters introduced, and some good loot. Holy Detonation was just too grindy, as well as rather obnoxious. It had 2 factions that I absolutely hated, and made me choose between the 2 of them, which by itself wouldn't be too bad, you know, like a better of 2 evils scenario, except that if that's the payoff for the hell that is this DLC, it's incredibly disappointing. I realize I started out not going too harsh on that DLC, and ended up getting very aggressive about it. Yeah, Holy Detonation is trash, don't buy it. But all in all, Wasteland 3 is great. But it is a very long CRPG, so if you don't like CRPGs, you will not like Wasteland 3. But otherwise, it's a fantastic marriage between XCOM 2 and the CRPG genre. Next up, let's talk about Solasta, Crown of the Magister. Solasta is a D&D inspired RPG with deep character progression and creation, a wonderful world, and an incredibly exciting combat system. Assuming you like turn-based and aren't one of those people that think turn-based is boring and are watching a video game about games like XCOM 2, one of the most prolific turn-based games ever made. Now, Solasta is not really based on XCOM combat like most games in these videos seem to be. Solasta is rather completely built upon the SRD rule set from Wizards of the Coast's Dungeons and Dragons. So if you've ever played D&D, expect a digitized version of that combat. I will say, and this could entirely be I am just incredibly unlucky when it comes to this game, I felt that I missed my attacks more in this game than in any other on this list, or any of my other lists. Just like the entire 3 to 4 turns of the majority of my team missing their attacks and spells entirely, and those moments were kind of awful and really frustrating, but you know, kind of the D&D experience, so it's pretty accurate there. Just want to mention some things I really loved, and then we'll really delve into the negatives that I do have. The character creation is one of the best developed I've experienced in a D&D inspired game. Like, I might even say better than Divinity Original Sin 2. That's not to say Solasta is a better game, just in terms of the character creator being fantastic. And in fairness to Larian Studios, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 yet, so I just prefer Solasta's character creator. Alright, it reminds me of D&D, which wasn't necessarily what Divinity 2 wanted to do, but it's something I prefer in general. Solasta allows you to select your class, subclass, background, character traits, roll your stats, and the craziest part is, all of this is meaningful to the game and your characters and how they interact with each other. You even get to choose between 4 or so voice actors for masculine or feminine leaning voices. That's pretty great. It really makes the character feel personal to you, and you get to make up fun little quirks about them as you play. And the character traits you pick, be it something like cunning or maybe loyal, will affect voice lines and quips throughout the game. You can build a character to be sly and cunning, and they might make a snide remark against other members of the party. It's quite fantastic. The combat I found to be incredibly fun purely because of the amount of options you have in terms of spells and abilities, allowing you to build your party into a fun combo that will almost certainly be unique every playthrough in one way or another. I found myself also really enjoying the world and plot, even though it is a little bit bland. Normally these games live and die on their overarching plot and writing, but Solasta's plot is mediocre, and its writing is pretty mid, although it does shine through at times. But my love for this game came through the development of my characters, and it's 100% why I recommend this game to you. It's important for you to know that if you are a pretty plot-driven player, this might not be for you. It's not a bad plot, but it's pretty basic. It serves its purpose. But if you're looking for the level of writing in Divinity Original Sin 2, you will not find that here. But you will find a delightful RPG with some genuinely fun jokes and a unique character progression. It just really nails what it feels like to play D&D. Now for some more negatives, and then we can wrap this video up with a cute little bow. Cute like you. I winked there, but you can't see me, so you'll just have to trust my word for that. Now let's talk about graphics for a second. I'm not really someone that requires graphics to be great in the games I play, but there are times when I do have issues with it. Don't get me wrong, Solasta is a rather pretty game, and it really immerses me into the world. But dude, the fucking beards, they look so shit. I don't really know what happened here, but they look like smooth blobs of clay that someone forgot to mold in detail. It's just incredibly distracting when my characters are talking and I just see this browned blob bobbing up and down on their chin. Also, the character creator does go the presets route, which again, I dislike presets, but I imagine it's much easier to work with, especially as a smaller team, so I don't let it bother me too much. Would have liked more facial options per race though. The dwarves and elves faces looked very similar, and that didn't make too much sense to me. I already mentioned the plot being mediocre, so I won't get into that anymore, as I do not wish to spoil the game for you, even if the plot is a bit meh in my opinion. The only other issue I have is with navigating. Sometimes it's a little frustrating. Like, it will look like you can go one way, but you can't until you find the boulder you hadn't pushed out of the way yet, but that's a relatively minor annoyance. All that to say that Solasta is an incredibly impressive title from a small studio. I can't wait to see what they build from this. There's some insane potential here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any game recommendations or lore corrections, please do comment below and let me know. If you would like to see more videos like this and potentially a part 4, do smack that like button like it's a sectoid's plump butt. Why did I say that? What is wrong with me? If you liked this video, you might like the rest of mine, and if you do, maybe lick that subscribe button like it is.
There's no stopping this, Sam.
No, wait,
it's time.
Wither, I wasn't gonna say it. No, please. Oh God.
Have a good day and try not to die.